It's day 9. We're in the home stretch here. I thank you so much for joining me today. My name's Kevin. Today we're going to talk about a chord that you might not want to hear the name of it right away, but yes, we're going to check out the B flat chord today. So I don't want you to be scared away by the B flat. It's something that you can conquer if you spend some time and really kind of get used to this chord shape. So we're going to break it down step by step, and we're going to put it into a couple of chord progressions so you can have some chance to work at it. I'm excited to share it with you. So let's get started. Hey, before we get started, do me a little favor and make sure you click that alert bell so you know when the next video is coming your way. If you're not subscribed to the channel, I'd love to have you on board. So let's talk about this B flat chord here. So B flat is one of these chords that requires you to bar a couple strings and then compress a couple strings, so it can be a challenge to kind of get started with, but I want to kind of take you through a step-by-step procedure of how I like to go through the B flat chord. So first let me show you the shape here. The shape is your index finger laying across the E and the A string on the first fret. The middle finger is on the C string of the second fret. Ring finger is on the G string of the third fret. So it looks like this in the front. Now, something that I want to show you is my index finger is extremely flat here. So if I run my finger across the top of my index finger, it feels super flat. There's no hump in my finger kind of at my last knuckle here. That's something that you really want to watch out for, is making sure that this is extremely flat. So kind of the first thing I like to do when I'm trying to access this chord is I look at my thumb position on the back of the neck and my finger position, and I want to make sure that I have a good pinch point here. My thumb should be right behind the first fret so I can really get this finger flat. Now I'm going to actually just make sure that these two notes ring. So I always kind of pluck the bottom two notes that I'm barring. If I hear, then I know that I'm not getting enough pressure here. So I want to make sure that when I do this, and this might be the first thing you do kind of just to work on for a day or so, is just really trying to make sure that the bar is getting these notes to ring through clearly. So I start here, I have these two notes ringing. Now I'm going to add my middle finger to the C string here on the second fret, and I'm going to try the same procedure. I'm going to go through and just with my strumming hand here, pluck down through those three notes. So now I have, kind of knowing that I'm getting the tone out of most of the chord. When I feel comfortable there, that's when I add my ring finger to the G string on the third fret. A very important aspect here is staying on your fingertips. If these middle and ring finger here are laying down at all, you're going to again get this kind of muted sound. So part of the B flat chord is really kind of trying to evaluate the chord kind of over and over again to see what part of the chord maybe isn't ringing. So that's why I like to do these kind of single notes as I play it, because sometimes if you just strum the chord, you'll hide some of those dead notes in there. So the other way that you can play the B flat chord here, and I know we've talked about this with B minor and B7, is you can actually just bar the entire fret here. So instead of, barring the bottom two strings, I actually take my index finger, just like we did with B minor, but I lay it across the entire first fret. And then I have my ring finger and middle finger exactly where they were before, third fret and second fret. So now instead of just having my finger down here, I'm barring the entire thing. So maybe that's the approach that you want to take. I would just try. I would see what works the best for you, because everybody's a little bit different. Everybody's hands are a little different size, finger strength, it's all over the place. So kind of the answer is always, to me, what can I make work that's comfortable to me, but it's also not going to take me out of position for other chords. So kind of keep those things in mind as you're working on this chord. And remember that it's going to take some time. It's not something that just has to happen instantly. You have to work for this chord a little bit. So something else that I will add to the process here, if you're having a hard time getting this chord to ring down here at the first fret, it's easier to play it further up the neck. So maybe before you play B flat, you kind of take this B flat shape and start it on the 5th fret. So maybe it's up here, you're working on it, and you can get these notes to ring when you play here, because it's easier to compress the strings down the further up the neck you go. The first thing I like to do Now that I've kind of feeling a little bit more comfortable with my shape here and my fretting hand, I'm going to incorporate a little bit of rhythm, but very simplified rhythm. So we're just going to take and do a single down strum with a 4 count. So the way this will sound is I'll count 1, 2, 3, 4, strum, 2, 3, 4 again. So what the point of this exercise is to compress when you do the strum and then decompress afterwards while you're counting, so that you kind of have a chance to get a lot of repetitions of just forming this same chord. You don't have to move anywhere. You don't have to worry about a strumming pattern. It's all your focus here on really getting this chord down. So let's try that together. We'll go through it a few times. Just try to work on improving with each repetition. So here we go. Hold that B flat chord down. 1, 2, 3, 4, strum, 2, 3, 4, compress, 2, 3, 4, compress, 2, 3, 4, again, 2, 3, 4. So that's something you could do with a metronome, set at a really slow tempo, if you just want to get a lot of B flat repetitions. Something else you can do here that I like to do, if you're just maybe kind of sitting in front of the TV or doing something that's kind of passive, a lot of times what I'll do is just work on kind of taking my fingers off this chord and setting them back down. The more repetitions that you do with your hand here and kind of getting them to this weird contorted hand shape that we're not used to, is just kind of taking your fingers and doing it over and over again, feeling your fingertips all hitting the strings at the same time. That's very important. You always want your fingers to kind of land together. You don't want to build the chord as you go, and that's a habit that some of us get into with this B flat chord because we think bar and then the fingers. I really want you to think about trying to land all of these simultaneously, and if you work on this from the beginning, you're going to kind of build this structure better as you go. It's going to be easier to kind of accomplish this chord. So now that we have a simple strum in place, we have the B flat chord, I'm going to show you a second chord here, which is G minor. We used it earlier in the series, and we're going to work on kind of going back and forth with a simple strumming pattern. So the G minor chord looks like this. You've seen it before. We're going to work on switching from here to B flat. So when we do that, there's a shared finger here. So our middle finger stays on the C string 2nd fret while we're playing G minor. We take our ring finger up to the top string for B flat, and then we use the bar here on the first 2 strings on the bottom. So those are the 2 chords we're going to go back and forth with, and the strumming pattern that I have for you today is a down-down strumming pattern. So this is from day 7 of our Step Up Your Strumming series, and this is a cool strumming pattern because it starts incorporating your thumb into the strum. So I'm just going to demonstrate this here with a C chord, so just ring finger down on the 3rd fret of the A string. So to do this strumming pattern, I'm going to take my index finger into a hook shape, and I go through with my index finger. As I do that, I'm going to trail with my thumb. So my thumb is still hanging here above the strings, and what I do is I'm just going to kind of go through and tick the top 1 or 2 strings at most. So the strum goes like this: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So it's just down, 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 down. Now I've written it capital D and lowercase d because this first strum is emphasized a little bit more. So think of the thumb as kind of like your trailer down strum. So it's a little bit less in volume, but sounds really cool when you get it going. So this is something that I like to use if I'm trying to kind of emulate a piano sound, kind of pedaling, or something like that. But it's a really nice strumming pattern to incorporate here. So let's try this now with the G minor and B flat chord. We'll start with our G minor, and we're just going to get a lot of transitions back and forth between G minor and B flat because that's going to be part of our longer chord progression we're using today. We're going to go 4 times per chord. So 4 times will be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and switch to B flat, 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and. So we're going to do that nice and slow together. So get ready. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 3 and 4 and. So if you need to spend a little more time with that, feel free to do so. I also just want to mention here one more thing about hand position on the B flat chord. Now this might be for those of you who have larger hands, this might work for you. What I'll do sometimes, you probably noticed in the first couple of repetitions that my hand was actually up here and you could see my thumb above the neck. And I'm kind of using the U here in my hand to hold the neck versus using my thumb. So if it's something where you feel like you can't quite get to the chord like this, bring your finger, or bring your thumb down rather, to the back of the neck. If you're not having any problem with it, you can kind of keep it in your hand and switch between these chords like this, so you don't feel like the neck is slipping away from you in that B flat transition. I know that comes up. So we've got the short progression now, we've got the strum. Now let's check out the longer chord progression and play it together. All right, so we're getting into our final few progressions here of the series. This one's a really cool sounding one. So we're gonna start on the G minor chord, just like we just did. And then we're gonna move to B flat. So again, make sure you're anchoring that middle finger on the C string 2nd fret. And then we move to an F chord. So take our middle finger up to the G string. Index is just gonna kind of go from flat to upright here as we have our index on the E string of the 1st fret. So we have an F chord. And then a nice easy one to end the sequence with a C chord here with our ring finger on the A string of the 3rd fret. So kind of walk through that progression a few times if you need to. G minor, B flat, F, C. Kind of map that out as you go. Now, we're gonna do that 4 times per chord with the down-down strumming pattern. So we're gonna do this now with the metronome at 64 beats per minute, and then for the next progression, we're gonna bump up that tempo. So spend some time now with the repetitions. We're gonna do this nice and relaxed. I hope this B flat chord is coming to you. So here we go, nice and slow. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. F, 2, 3, 4, C, 2. Let's do it again to the G minor. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Let's do it one more time. Make it your best. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... All right, we're gonna take the tempo up a little bit here to 70 BPMs. We're gonna do the exact same progression, same number of times. Keep with me here. We're at the home stretch. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Keep it going. Just listen to the metronome here. B flat to the F, 2, 3, 4, C. All right, we're gonna go 2 more times. Here we go. G minor, 3, 4, B flat, 2, 3, 4, F, 3, 4, C. Last time. Here we go. G minor, B flat, and F, 2 and 3 and 4. Last one, C, 3 and 4 and... B flat is a challenging chord, but I know you can do it. Spend some time with this, work on these progressions. I have more progressions put together at allforuke.com, song sheets, practice tracks that you can work on this series. And I will mention, I do have a series that's fully dedicated to bar chords. I will leave that in the description below so you can check that out if you want to work more on B flat. It takes time and takes effort and perseverance, but you can do it. If you guys haven't already, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Leave your comments below. Let me know how this series is going for you, and let me know where you're playing. I love to hear from you guys. My name's Kevin. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.